Hi, I'm Patrick Ertmann.
And I'm Sue Diraimondo. We are the judge recruiters for the St. Louis Board of Elections. We are responsible for recruiting and assigning the majority of the poll workers that process voters at the polls on Election Day. You may not realize the massive effort that is required for you to have a positive voting experience. The 5 or more people that you interact with at your polling place are multiplied hundreds of times over to staff all of the polling places in the city of St. Louis.
And it's not just at the polls on Election Day that the work is being done. No, preparation for Election Day begins months in advance and involves dozens of employees at the Board of Elections headquarters at 300 North Tucker Boulevard in downtown St. Louis City.
Still, Election Day could not happen without the hundreds and sometimes thousands during big elections of poll workers who staff the polls on Election Day. To that end, we are asking you, our fellow St. Louisans, to consider becoming a poll worker for the St. Louis City Board of Elections.
After all, imagine walking into your polling place on Election Day and finding that no one was there to check your name or hand you a ballot. What would happen?
Well, quite frankly, nothing.
That's right. Without the poll workers, the voters could not vote. That is why we need your help at the polls. And it all starts with becoming one of the most important people in the electoral process, the election judge.
We know it sounds like an overwhelming task, working a 13-hour or more shift to assure that every eligible voter is allowed to vote. But after a 2-hour training session, you will be prepared and able to get started working the polls.
For most voters, in many cases, the only people that the voter comes into contact with are the election judges. The election judge is the key to processing the expected turnout of up to 176,000 registered voters in the city of St. Louis.
Election judges are responsible for verifying that a voter is in their correct polling place, issuing the ballot to the voter, assisting the voter with any questions that they have regarding how to properly fill out their paper ballot and insert it into the optical scan voting machine, or how to operate the touchscreen voting machines.
Election judges help to open the polling place in the morning, then closing at the end of the election day. By law, each polling place must have an equal number of Democrat and Republican poll workers. That means for every one Democratic election judge, there must be one Republican election judge.
Many times, the Board of Elections will have an election judge who shows exemplary ability and leadership. In some cases, we will give that judge the chance to be promoted to a poll manager position. Like with judges, for every Republican or Democrat manager, there must be a corresponding manager of the other political party to balance the polling place.
Poll managers oversee the operations of all precincts assigned to their polling place, supervise the activities of all the other workers in that facility, and actively participate in the processing of voters. Vital to the integrity of the election process and fulfilling state statute, they ensure the conduct of a bipartisan and fair election. Recruiting poll workers in the city of St. Louis can be a daunting task, particularly finding Republican poll workers. We live in a city that is heavily Democratic. That means that the pool of potential Republican poll workers is much smaller than the pool of potential Democratic workers. Due to the statutory requirement for equal party representation, the Board of Elections is always in need of genuine Republican workers for every election.
That does not mean that we don't need more Democratic poll workers. No, it's just the opposite. We are always looking for the best and brightest poll workers, regardless of their party. Fresh faces and new people who want to participate in our democratic process are always welcome at the St. Louis City Board of Elections.
We know that you are wondering, am I qualified?
The answer is that any person who can read and write the English language and is registered to vote in the city of St. Louis is eligible to become a poll worker. So what do you say?
Sign
up today, and we will begin the process of making you a rewarding part of what we do at the St. Louis Board of Elections.